Hello and welcome, and I want to talk about trading for huge gains, and I'm going to be talking about buying low, selling high. I have talked about mechanisms within this video as far as just putting orders in and waiting for them to fill, selling below the key 18 average, or just whenever the markets are way down below key support, you sell, and when they rise at peaks, or you buy when they fall, you sell when they rise. And those are methods, of course, of buying and selling. There's also that of arbitraging, which is where I'm going to mainly focus on where the realistic results would come in, was within an arbitrage style strategy. But either way, the net result goal is to increase the amount of tokens in which you have in a particular altcoin. So using this type of example, game plan is what it is. So I'm addressing the game plan. So you have an entry price of 1,000 of a particular code. It could be 1,000, it could be 200 Satoshi, it could be 0.02 something. It really doesn't matter at all. We're looking for what you think has room for substantial growth, especially in this example, good chances of being able to trade it to increase the amount that you own. So let's assume you start with 0.01 Bitcoin, and this is different per person. It might be 0.001 or 0.02, 0.05, 0.7. It's up to you. The minimum is based on what the exchanges have. The maximum is based on what the other players in the game will allocate you. Obviously, it's what the market conditions will allocate. So let's assume you start off with this 1,000 Satoshi price you buy. You figure once it gets up like 8 times higher in this example, it's just way too high. Markets go up like 7 times, 10 times, 20 times, 100 times all the time. So it's definitely realistic that they can do such a thing, but I want to sell a vast majority of them when they get to that stage. So let's assume you enter into a random code at the 1,000 mark, and you're wanting to buy and sell, buy low, sell high. Let's assume these are some transactions that occur. So originally, your first transaction, maybe you sell 1,000 at the price of $12.90. So you sold everything you had, and you're able to buy it back at 1,000. So you could buy back an additional 290 or so more, as well as many other trades. You're going to have situations where the markets go down lower, like in here. And now you end up selling for cheaper than you bought it for, but who cares? You're gaining 300. You know the markets are going to go back up in time anyway. So anytime a market moves to the up or downside, that's when the arbitragings can oftentimes work really well one way or the other. And of course, buying low, selling high is understanding when the peak areas are good to sell and when the dip areas are good to buy back. And so on and so forth. And let's assume you move all of this direction, making all of these trades, and the price action gets to 8,000. If you were to do all of these trades, you would have 4,140 of these tokens with the BTC Bitcoin value of 0.33, or you've outperformed the market 33 times over. Congratulations. But it's at that point you were talking about, so you want to sell 75%, which would work out to about 3,000. And you want to wait for capitulation, long-term moves lower. And then with the remaining approximately 1,000 that you have, you want to keep swing trading them, whichever mechanism you were using, just stick with it. And you have another target level, maybe around 50,000, but just math. I mean, there's two ways of figuring that number out. Number one is understanding the charts and then going from there. And number two is understanding mathematics and going from there. And on a mathematical level, if you sold at 8, you go to 50, that's like a little over 6 times higher. So you know mathematically those markets can easily obtain those kind of moves, 6 time gains after an 8 or a 48x gain total. I've seen it happen before. As far as my portfolio is concerned, that's very healthy if my portfolio endures that kind of gain. That's the mathematics towards it. Moving further, while you're waiting, go to your precious metals dealer and turn some turn some of your profits into physical silver. That's what, at least that's what I do anyway. If I made like 0.32 in this whole play, Heck, let's take a 0.1 spot of it, 0.08 or whatever, and let's just buy me some silver to go on to be delivered to my door in 2 to 3 business days. Maybe order some champagne or other set of beverages, snacks, or anything else designed for a good time. After all, you're a winner. You deserve it. And these type of codes can have spectacular games. This is code NXS. So therefore, if we take a look at it even before, let's just assume 2017. When the price back here was 3,500, and if you're like, oh man, this thing can easily get to 50 grand or something. Well, with all of these up and down moves, that would allocate you opportunity to buy high and sell low. So opportunities to sell and buy. Opportunities in here to sell and buy. Now, there's going to be situations where markets will run away from you. That happened to me with Bitbean recently, where you just sell and you can't buy it back cheaper, and that's just how it goes. Of course, there's going to be spots in traditional buying high and selling low where selling in here was unable to be bought back for the major gains. However, if you started with X amount of coins during this whichever area, and then you got to that 50 number, which would have been roughly around here, maybe you started off with X, now you have X multiply 5, or X multiply 2.5, or whatever number you have larger. Now you want to sell a decent amount, continue playing the trading game, which means when you sell that decent amount, you do not buy back here, not even maybe, for the decent amount portion. But with the amount that you left back, maybe you sold an additional couple hundred to buy back short term. That maybe you could do in here. And then with your short term stack in here, or the ones you left back, maybe you put a small sell order in here. However, the whole point of me picking the number 50,000, not by random in this case, was because you're going to be wrong sometimes with your tops. This is a spot where the top would have went a little double than that. However, when you're wrong, you can still be right on oftentimes because you wait for capitulation. So capitulation happens in here. You sold here, you could buy it here, you could buy it here. There was many, many times to buy back that. And obviously we can see what happens after that. The net result again was after that big capitulation buyback, very good sell-off, very good buyback again. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And of course, everything you do, like always, is within your own risk, own reward. Take care. Bye-bye.